following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Mick Shots.
Streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And it is an absolutely beautiful Thursday in the Metroplex. It's a beautiful day for Mick Shots as we are putting Baltimore behind us. Bill Jones, along with Mickey Spagnola and Everson Walls. Yes, it's time. We got to move on, don't we? What do you think? We need to move on?
No. I'm still in that mood.
Time for Cincinnati.
Still in that mood. What?
Yeah, I'm still in that mood.
Is?
I'm sorry.
You know what? Let's ask Bill Belichick what we should do. What do you say?
Yes.
You want to ask Bill Belichick?
Let me see what Bill has
It would help
to say.
if my it would help if my audio worked, but it doesn't. So
Oh, no, it worked before the show started.
It didn't work. Why does my computer mute at the most inappropriate time? All right, here we go. We're going to try it again here. We're going to try it again, and here we go. It's still muting. Unbelievable. Okay. You know what? I run this thing about as well as they stop the run of the other team.
Oh, no.
Right?
You got muted there.
I got muted.
Yeah,
I got muted.
Well,
all right.
Bill, I'll
so much. By the end of the show, I'm going to figure it out.
I'm going to pull
But
you out.
what he was trying to say is, we're on to Cincinnati, okay? We're on to Cincinnati, right?
I was going to try and pull you out of the hole there.
Okay. We're on to Cincinnati.
Because you know
All
what?
right.
So
I had some stuff ready, but I'm going to leave it alone.
I was going to tell you, Bill, that yesterday, December 9th, so 29 years ago, was the last edition of the Dallas Times-Herald. And for some reason, it hit me yesterday, and I went upstairs and grabbed the old copy that I kept from the last edition, and I read it cover to cover, right? The news, the Metro, business, the sports. And I just want you to know that your name is in the last edition of the Dallas Times-Herald in a column by, I think it was Skip Bayless, mentioned that he got interviewed by Bill Jones.
Really?
Yes. So your name's
Wow.
in the last edition.
I'm not sure if I want people to know that. But yes, in fact, he would be a regular guest on when I would fill in for Scott Murray on Sports Extra when I worked at Channel 5.
Right? Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And the reason
you'll have to send me a copy of that.
The reason it's in there was because the last day that we worked was December 8th, and it was a Cowboys-Saints game at Texas Stadium. And all the media showed up.
That.
You remember that? And then we were all getting interviewed as we were trying to watch the game and contemplate the rest of our lives, knowing that this was our last day of work, not knowing what the future would hold. But, they listed, and the other thing I didn't realize, there was 900 people when you include everybody that was connected to the paper, the delivery people, press and all the press room and all that stuff. There was 900 people that lost jobs, and they listed everybody's name that was on the payroll on 2 pages inside the first section of the paper. Yeah, I've forgotten that part, and I don't know if I ever looked at it. But it was interesting to read the sports section, and I'll tell you what, it might be 29 years later, but I'll put that sports section up against anybody that they're doing today. It was still pretty comprehensive, and it was pretty darn good reading, too.
And it was a testament to competition.
Yes.
I mean, with the Times-Herald and the Morning News going up against each other, I mean, that created great products on both sides of it.
And then the Fort Worth paper.
Hey, I tell you what it created. It created a bunch of sacrificial lambs. That's what it created. You had players like myself trying to stay out of trouble. You had players like Dennis Thurman. We're hiding from reporters like Gary Myers, of course, with the news. But then, who was it? Jim Dent? Was it? Who was the beat writer for?
At that time, it was myself. But before, when you first got there, it was Jim Dent.
Before,
yes.
Yeah, Jim Dent. He's lurking around locker rooms and lockers, trying to dip in on a conversation if you and a fellow defensive back are having a beef about the organization. You can bet the old Fort Worth Star was right there, sneaking around with a recorder, trying to dip in on our conversation. So yeah, a lot of good people there, but it was a few of them. That competition created a lot of negativity around that locker room, and that was good for selling papers, but it was horrible for the program itself, for the Cowboys program.
Did we even have recorders back then?
You had one of those CIA recorders back in the day, man. That's what you had. You had reel to reel. That's what you had back in the day.
But anyway,
but not only that.
Go ahead.
What I was going to say, but not only that is, I can say this from the TV side of things. The competition was so much greater as far as the TV stations are concerned, because the TV stations gave the sports more time. I mean, here's the difference between 1990 and 30 years later here in 2020 as far as how much time we get for our sportscasts on the local news. Okay, back in 1990, each station at 5 o'clock you'd get a 3-minute sportscast, and then you'd go 4 minutes at 6 o'clock and 4.5 minutes at 10 o'clock. That was the standard you go from. Today, all the stations, we get 2 minutes at 6 and 2 minutes and 30 seconds at 10 o'clock, and that's basically it.
Yeah.
And but the other part of that is, and this is where the fans really. As what Everson says, sometimes it could be a detriment for the players, but the access that the media had back then, there was no comparison with what it is today, even in a non-COVID year, and especially in a COVID year. I mean, there's basically no access at all. But back then, I mean, we had the run of the locker room.
Yes, you did.
Exactly.
Yes, you did. And
I mean, there were some time constraints.
I am offended that you even are relishing in that fact. You had the run of my locker room.
Exactly.
That is not cool at all. I don't know what kind of tactics that Spagnuolo had back in the day, but when you got to dodge Myers and Dent and Skip Bayless every day, and they're looking to take down Tom Landry, they're looking to take down Tex Schramm, they got a beef with Gil Brandt, and then they'll come to me and say, hey, Everson, what do you think about Gil Brandt? Hey, man, I'm in a negotiation right now. Can you get out of my face with that, please? So, man, no.
You know what?
I do.
Everson, I upgraded the ethics when I got there, okay?
Thank God.
But you remember we had a little small cubicle office at the ranch right there by the entrance where the players came in. So and mine was the first one by the door. So when the door was open and you guys were leaving, if somebody was leaving on crutches and they didn't announce the injury, it's like, oh, somebody's hurt.
That's exactly right. And you know what we would do as a TV station on the morning after a game? If, let's say, Troy Aikman had not a major injury, but let's say he had something happened to him on Sunday, we would have a crew that would be at Valley Ranch before 8 o'clock in the morning to get Troy walking from his car in the parking lot.
In the parking lot.
In the parking lot, we would be there with our camera, as he got out of his car and limped into the locker room. We would follow him all the way into the locker room, and so by 8 o'clock in the morning the day after, we would have some sort of update on the condition of Troy Aikman.
You had some of the biggest stories were written when everyone was gone home, and then there was always someone trying to lag behind because they were part of a huge story, and you guys would be waiting outside to pounce on them.
That's right.
Right away.
Exactly.
Especially during the strike season. Oh my God, it was horrible. 1987, it was so bad, man.
I'll give you one more story on the parking lot, and it was the last time I ever did this. When the guys used to walk out and they didn't do their interviews, and everybody'd run after them. Well, when the Herschel Walker trade was announced, and Herschel tried going out the back doors. He tried going out the door in the equipment room. Remember, you can get onto the...
That's right. That's right. You have immediate access to your car from the equipment room.
Somebody yells, "Oh, Herschel's going to his car," and everybody goes running out, right? TV cameras, they're trampling everybody. I started running, and I go, what am I doing? I'm kind of a grown person, and I'm running to the... And I said, that's it. I will never run to the parking lot after anybody ever again.
Oh my God! Good move, Spags.
So
this was all the other idiots.
Yeah, and this was
Exactly.
This was pretty funny. You know how they used to do grades right after the game? We were forced to do it, and they were always wrong. And that was the only thing the players read were grades, right? You give them an A. God forbid if you gave them a D or something, So that section of the team. So I came up with the idea: we're not doing grades. We're going to do thumbs up, thumbs down, and meh in the middle, right? So, and so at the end of that, we had two more categories, and this was after the Saints game, and one of them was for I can't remember what it was. It was for doing something good, and the last one was bad day at the office, right? And so I finished bad day at the office with entire Times Herald staff.
That's a good one, Spags. That's a good one.
That is what you call a bad day at the office.
Yes, it absolutely was.
So how did you find out that it was folding?
It was a noon start. And I would get there, 2.5 hours.
This is on a Sunday morning.
Sunday morning, noon, December 8th. And I'm sitting at my spot in the press box, and the phone rings, and I think it was Dave Pelletier, the assistant PR director, picks up the phone, and he goes, "Mickey, your sports editor wants to talk to you." And I'm going, "Does he want to talk to me at 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning? There's nothing going on." So I go there, and it was Gary Hardy. And he says, "Mick, I got bad news for you." He goes, "The paper's just been sold to the Dallas Morning News, and this is going to be our last edition. We're going out of business." And I'm going, "Seriously?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I hate to have to tell you this." And he goes, "Can you do me a favor?" He goes, "When the other people on the staff come in, can you let them know that this is the news?"
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm going, "Me?" I go, "You mean to tell me I've got to go up to Frank Luxa, who's been doing this job since 1972, and I got to tell him he's out of work?" And so I basically stood out in the hallway, and people start coming in.
Wow.
And Skip saw me standing out there when he came in, and it was like, what are you doing out here? And I said, "Okay, let me break the news to you." And same thing with Frank. I had to tell him that, "Yeah, this is your last day of work." And so our joke that day basically was, well, if you need another good clip to get a job, you better make this one good.
Make this a good one.
Make this a good one. And I remember.
I gotta say,
I remember. Go ahead, Everson.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say,
I remember. No, go ahead.
I remember kind of watching the game, like I'm watching, but I wasn't seeing, and it was just like the whole thing was just I don't know. It was a cloud that whole day trying to cover the game. Yeah, like a blur, right? And I remember, and I go back and read my game story, and it's like, those first 4 paragraphs were really good. Then it just fell off. It just was like, it wasn't me,
So, Spags, You know what it's like to get cut.
Oh, you know
what it's
what?
like to
That's
get cut.
funny you say that, because we hung around in the locker room afterwards to say something to Jimmy. We didn't know if he knew it or not, and we didn't know if we'd ever see him again or what our jobs would be. And so there was like 3 or 4 of us, me, Frank, Susie Woodhams. I think there was one other person with us. And he comes out and he looks at us, and he had heard, right? And all he did was kind of, how he used to smack his lips, and he goes, well, whatever. He goes, now you know how coaches feel.
That's so Jimmy.
It's like, thanks, Jimmy.
Oh, wait. How coaches feel
When they get
this
fired.
guy cuts somebody every day, and now he talks about how coaches feel. Give me a break. Give me a break. How coaches feel? He cuts somebody every month, and he's talking about that? Come on. Only Jimmy could turn that around to where a teachable moment for him to show to you. Give me a break, man.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
That was, and he was I think he was trying to kind of lighten the situation, but yeah, that was his deal. And the other thing I remember is, so if you remember, so this was 1991, and I'd forgotten this until I read it again, that when Tex Schramm, when they bought the team and then Tex left, it was about May of '89. He took the job with the what did they call it? The European Football League.
That was the World League of American Football.
Yeah, he took that job, and his suite was right next to the press box. And, Tex used to sit in the press box for the games, but once that happened, he just stayed in his suite. We'd go in there and say hi to him, but he never came back in the press box until that day. He came back to kind of give us each a handshake and a hug and say, hey, sorry to hear it happen. But that was the first and only time he came back in the press box after he parted ways with the Cowboys. Yeah. So, anyway, 29 years ago.
Well, Mickey, 29 years ago, I would say things turned around very nicely for you these last 29 years.
I think I survived somehow, some way. But that day, boy.
No, it was that company man mentality that he took. See, when they had him firing everybody else, that solidified it for him. They said, "Oh, this guy will do anything to keep a job." So that's why that was a test for you, Spags. They wanted to make sure that you were willing to do anything to sell your brothers down the river, and you did a good job, man. That's pretty good, man.
So Mickey, how long have you been with the Cowboys now?
Bill, they have the crankiest guy in the world telling everybody that they're fired.
That's right.
You're supposed to give it to him in a soft manner, but here's Spag. Hey, guy, you're out. Yeah, me too. Yeah. Go cry me a river. Yeah, I've been there, pal. Yeah, see you later.
I don't think.
All right, it happened. And Everson, it was in December also. So, management at the Times-Herald, it was in December. They said, who would be the best guy to tell all of our employees that they won't have a Christmas this year? Mr. Scrooge.
Mr. Grinch. No, they had the Grinch.
The Grinch stole Christmas. Yeah.
It stole a lot of things.
Oh, man. What a spot, Spags.
Yeah.
What a spot.
Unbelievable.
Oh, man.
And so how long before you started working for the Cowboys?
Oh, it was another 9 years. I freelanced, remember?
Was it not? Okay, yeah, because you were freelancing and you were, what was...
The Insider.
What was the Skip Bayless?
The Insider.
The Insider, that's right.
Right? Did
yeah,
that.
The Insider.
And then talk radio started, and I started working at the Ticket, and the Cowboys got good, and there was all the freelance I could handle from all around the country, people wanting stories on the Cowboys. And, that kind of saved me that they got good and there was work to do.
Yeah.
When did you realize? I want to know when you realized that, hey, this might not be a bad thing. When did you realize that the change in communication was coming?
It took about 6 months, because that's when we started the Insider, and that's when I started getting freelance and doing other stuff, being the correspondent for USA Today and Sporting News and things like that.
Nice.
And so I picked up a lot of work. And then I picked up some TV stuff, and then the radio thing happened, and I ended up doing it till 2000 when I started with the Cowboys.
And all
So
of a
20
sudden,
years
you're
with
on
the Cowboys
TV.
now. Yeah.
Yes, 20 years.
See? Yeah. So that was
All of a
all a
sudden, you're
great
on TV, and
preparation.
you have to start grooming yourself. You're like, damn, my nose hairs are out of control.
All right. Well, that's a good way to kick off this edition of Mick Shots. And so when we come back, maybe we will move on to Cincinnati. We will see when Mick Shots continues in a moment.
Hey there, Cowboys fans. With Tide Cleaners at-home pickup and delivery, cleaning your clothes has never been more convenient. Simply sign up at your local store, set out your dirty clothes, and one of our Tide Cleaners professionals will come directly to your home for a totally contactless experience. Your clean garments will be returned promptly the next scheduled delivery day, so skip the errand and enjoy life, not laundry. Visit TideCleaners.com or your local store to sign up for Tide Cleaners at-home pickup and delivery today.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Grab some OtterBox gear and get ready for hanging with the boys. From rugged venture coolers to tough as nails elevation tumblers, we've got what you need to keep your game day drinks frosty and your football feast ice cold. And with cases, screen protectors, and power accessories, you can defend your phone and stay connected to every play. Gear up at OtterBox.com and amp up the fun of every Cowboys game. That's OtterBox.com.
We're back with a tasty treat that's sweeping airwaves and taste buds. It's new Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda. Let's take a listen.
Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda's here. A new combo that's music to my ears, okay. Let's play. Cream Soda and Dr. Pepper time. Pour it in a glass of ice.
Ah, music to my ears and mouth. New Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda.
A delicious duet.
Back to Mick Shots.
You know what? You can now support your beloved Cowboys from anywhere. Open up AT&T's Fan Zone feature inside the Cowboys app and record your personal cheer and referee signals. You'll receive a personalized mosaic and may show up on the AT&T Live FX video board during the game. Next home game for the Cowboys a week from Sunday when the San Francisco 49ers come to town, and that will be a noon kickoff. We talked about that yesterday.
Don't
the Cowboys flexed out of Sunday Night Football to a noon kickoff. That's right. That's right.
Guys, that's I'm sorry, that's still pretty embarrassing. To go from prime time to noon. I mean, they could have put them at 3:30, right? They just dropped them all the way down. Is that punishment? Is that just sticking it to the Cowboys? Because I'm sure they have other slots they could have chosen, but they put us all the way down to noon.
I think they they had those
that
two other
3:30 time
games.
slot. Yeah,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Obviously, you can move anything around the way you want. So there's no precedent set here. It's like we can do anything we want. Oh, you were scheduled for the evening? No, not the Cowboys. You guys are not going to embarrass this station. So that's just
the 3:25 window is for TV networks. That's considered a prime window, that late Sunday afternoon, and so they would be going from prime time Sunday night to almost prime time at 3:25 on Sunday. So if you're not going to be And so they will have multiple games at 325, but the second game that's not the primetime game, you're just going into your own local markets anyway. So you actually probably have more people getting the Cowboy game, even with a 3-9 or what will be a 4-9 Cowboys team next week against San Francisco. You'll get them.
We go from filet mignon to ground chuck. Come on, man. That's just exactly what happened. That's the way
right.
the country's looking at us now. We are ground chuck.
You know what, though? There's hope on the horizon. You know why?
Tell me.
What do you think having a 37-year-old?
We're on to Cincinnati. It's nothing about the past, nothing about the future. Right now, we're preparing for Cincinnati.
Okay.
There you go. We're on to Cincinnati. Could you hear that?
Yeah,
it worked.
Heard that.
It finally worked. Yeah.
Sounded like Bill Belichick.
I know that gravelly voice.
That's right. We're on to Cincinnati, and here we are. We're on to Cincinnati. And what update do you have from the star in Frisco, Mickey Spagnola, about the Cowboys and the Bengals?
Well, the Cowboys basically had a practice today, but it was closed to everybody. And Mike McCarthy was not scheduled to do his media conference call. We're supposed to get players, and I think it should have happened, maybe started a half hour ago. Yeah,
I saw some quotes from Zeke.
Yeah, Zeke was supposed to talk, and yesterday he was They listed him as limited in practice, and they didn't practice. It was just a projection of what would have happened had they practiced. So Anthony Brown and Zeke were listed as limited. Cam Irving and Donovan Wilson were listed as out. And the Bengals had a whole bunch of guys that were not injury-related missing practice, guys like Geno Atkins, Mike Daniels, A.J. Green, and then they had a couple other guys that missed, limited, T. Higgins and Alex Redmond with a concussion. And they said Brandon Allen had a full practice. But again, it was I think theirs too was the Cowboys was a projection. Theirs wasn't. They actually practiced yesterday.
And they do expect Brandon Allen to play. He did his media availability yesterday.
Yeah.
And he left their last game at a chest contusion, and it was Ryan Finley who finished up against the Dolphins last week.
And it looked like the Cowboys.
Brandon Allen is the guy.
It looked like the Cowboys were going to have a light practice today, so I'm not sure what we'll get on the practice report when it comes out, but it wasn't really. And I think what he's trying to do is get their legs underneath them to play this next game and not wear them out in practice.
So no major injuries in the last game that we have to worry about. Anyone missing a game?
Not that we detected after the game, except for Zeke, and I'm sure that happened at the game at some point because it seemed like Pollard that second half was starting to get a few more snaps. Although he finished with 31, and he'd been averaging somewhere between low 20s to 30 a game over these last 5 or 6 games. So I don't know if that was indicative of Zeke having problems with that calf or not, but we'll see going forward what takes place there.
I thought Zeke ran pretty well in the ball game. What were his numbers?
Yeah,
I've got him somewhere here.
I got it. He ended up
18 for 77,
and he ended up
18 carries, 77 yards.
And then 4 catches for 18. Really ran well on that screen pass that they finally executed correctly.
And Tony Pollard was at 7 carries for 10 yards until that last play of the game where he went for about 12 yards to finish 8 for 22.
Right.
Yeah, Pollard. I like Pollard's involvement in the game plan from every aspect. We talk about what he can do from the line of scrimmage, but that kickoff return, that's something that I think he can consistently be effective at. Just using him all over the field, he's become a nice bright spot for this offense. A nice, I wouldn't say a surprise, but when you have a season right now full of so many disappointments, I would not put him in that category of disappointments. I would put him as just one of the more positive points for this game, for this team, actually.
Yeah, you know what? And as this season is wore on, they've had a couple more. I think Neville Gallimore had a nice game once again. Now, you see what he does right. Now, there's probably things he does wrong, and, we're not charting those. But I think he ended up at 4 tackles. Yeah, he had 4 tackles in the game, and he just seems to be getting more active inside. So that was kind of somewhat of a bright spot for a defense that just continues to struggle. They're last in the league, giving up 393 points in 12 games. That is a pace of 32.75 a game. And I figured out of these last four, if they are on that same pace, they will give up 524 points. 524 points. The single-season record for this franchise in its 61st season is at 436 in 2013. They're going to beat it by over almost 100 points. It's unbelievable.
That's not a record you want to have.
I have been there. It's tough. My last 2 years with Dallas, if I'm not mistaken, we were 3-13 Tom's last year.
Yes.
And of course, Jimmy's first year, 1-15. So that's got only 4 wins for myself and those guys in 2 years.
In other words, you were Cincinnati.
Oh boy, was I? Oh my God!
You're Cincinnati the last 2 years because Zach Taylor, I think they're at 4-23-1 or something like that here since he took over as head coach. But go ahead, Everson.
No, what I was saying was I know the frustration. As a fan, I'm always posting about how disappointing it is and things of that nature. But as a former player, being in that exact same position, just a feeling. You're talking about not being able to stop the run. They're not even trying to pass the ball most of the time. You're not being able to stop the run. Every drive that you go out there, it's hard to keep that positive mentality. Everything that you do doesn't work out. You see your guys up front, they can't stop the run. Holes are opening up. Linebackers nowhere to be found. And these are talented people that you are playing with. You know that your teammates are talented. But then you see the futility of it all. Coaches can't do anything. You go into the meeting every day, same thing, day in, day out. That humdrum, just same old feeling that comes over you. It's a really tough situation to be in as a player. As we look at it from the outside, guys like you, Sags, Bill, you guys, you can write about it. You're frustrated even writing about it. Just think if you're a player out there with any type of pride, trying to do something to change anything, and no matter what you do, it doesn't work. I do feel for those guys, trust me. I've been there. I know that futility. But man, my refuge was the fact that they kicked me out of there. Okay? How do you make that change and as part of the solution? That's the toughest part. How can you be part of the solution? So give Jimmy Johnson and let me just say, give Jimmy Johnson credit in regards to coming from 1-15. And then the next year, you go, I think, 7-9, right?
Yes.
And they were like right in it till the end.
And then 11-5.
With Babe and trying to do his thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then 11-5. That's the genius, to be able to pull yourself out of this situation. Like I said, I was blessed where I just made a phone call and I knew what my plan was individually. But to take a team, to take an entire team from this situation back to prominence, that's going to be the tough thing to do. Jimmy did it very well with his coaching staff and the talent that they had. But the Cowboys right now, I have to see what that formula is going to be for them to turn all of this around, because eventually, you got to start climbing your way back up. And you have to have the guys with the right attitude. You don't want those same guys that are, have that same old woe is me attitude. You want a different attitude. And how the coaching staff is going to be able to do this, or how this organization is going to be able to do this, that's going to be a tough task.
Yeah, and the culture of the team had changed so dramatically for people that had been there with 20 consecutive winning seasons. And then you go 7-9, 7-8, 3-13, 1-15, 7-9. You end up with 5 straight losing seasons after 20 consecutive winning seasons. Yep. But it ended up getting turned around that 91 season when they went 11-5 and actually won a playoff game in Chicago.
Kelvin Martin's punt return, I thought, was the biggest play. That's probably the biggest play of the new franchise. That's the biggest play to me of the new franchise, because I never thought they could go into Philadelphia and win that game. And let's be real, that defense was the reason that they were able to do it. We talk about Troy Aikman, we talk about the triplets and all of that. But that defense was the reason that team was able to hold on and win that Philadelphia game.
When we come back from break, I got a memory about that game that I'll share with you guys.
Okay, I was there. It was very cold, and it was cold, it was windy, and I will agree with Everson on the Kelvin Martin punt return. More Mick shots coming up in just a moment.
We're back with a tasty treat that's sweeping airwaves and taste buds. It's new Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda. Let's take a listen.
Dr. Pepper and cream soda's here. A new combo that's music to my ears, okay. Let's play. Cream soda and Dr. Pepper time. Pour it in a glass of ice.
Ah, music to my ears and mouth. New Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda.
A delicious duet.
Dear, it's 1908. Don't you think we should get electricity?
And stop using candles to see at night.
It's just electricity lights up the room fast. It's more reliable than candles blowing out, and people seem to love it nationwide.
Well, candles are...
Dear, did you just run into the wall?
Nope. May I have a new candle, please?
Historically, switching to new technology is a no-brainer. Today, it's AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure, and nationwide. Switch to AT&T 5G. It's not complicated. 5G requires compatible plan. May not be in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
I'm Jay Novacek, former tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. Back in the day, I was the guy who always got the tough yards, and that's why I run with John Deere today. In fact, I have a John Deere 3025E tractor that can handle any yard work I need to do, even the tough yards way out back. So if you have 1 acre or 1,000, John Deere has the equipment that's just right for you. Visit a John Deere dealer today and run with us. We are the official tractor provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
There's nothing as unique as our eyes, which is why Essilor pioneers ways to make lenses as unique as you. Verilux for super sharp vision, Essential Blue for protection, and Crizal for freedom from glare. 3 cutting-edge solutions in a single unique lens. So whatever your needs, insist on Essilor. Visit your local Essilor experts and find the perfect lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
Back to Mick Shots.
6 decades of Dallas Cowboys football is the official book marking the team's 60th anniversary, featuring never-before-seen photos, recaps, and results from every season dating back to 1960, as well as behind-the-scenes stories and the top 60 players in Cowboys history ranked. It is the perfect gift for every Cowboys fan. Get yours today at shop.dallascowboys.com or wherever books are sold.
Good job, Spags. That was a good one.
Way to go.
Wherever books are sold.
Are you saying Everson, that he was teetering at some point?
I was.
Ooh, it was close.
There was
He was teetering, but he didn't. He did not elect to run a fake punt.
Yeah. There was a couple words in there that were kind of tricky.
Yeah, and so there was a great testament to just go with it, okay? Let the game play out. Let the read play out. There's no reason for a fake punt here, even though you sense that you might be teetering a little bit.
Bill.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's right.
If we were taping this, you would have started over, right? But when it's live, you just push right through.
That's right. That's right. There are no false starts. You know, life is one big false start for some of us.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. All right. You had a story to tell. Mickey, you had a story to tell about the Dallas Philly.
Yeah, that 1991, and it was cold. And I do remember that. You remember I don't know, Bill, if you got to sit in the press box where all the writers were. The press boxes were separated at the vet. The home team was on one side, the TV cameras, the radio booths were in the middle, and then the visitors were on the other side of the press box. And there was a window there that was removable because they put a camera in there. So if it was 30 degrees outside, that window was open the whole game, and that poor cameraman used to get the worst stares you ever seen because we're in there covering the game, and we might as well have our coats and hats and gloves on because it was like sitting outside. I do remember that punt return. I do remember Ike Holt coming back and picking somebody off. It probably would have been a penalty in these days, but he nailed somebody and was the last guy that could get Kelvin Martin tackled. And on the team charter coming back, they probably didn't need to any how should I put it? They didn't need any fuel in that plane because you never seen guys celebrate more. And I mean the guys up front, the coaching staff, because they were under a lot of pressure, right? They were the new guys, and they finally broke through, and that was a big moment. Yeah. And I happened to be on the charter because after the paper folded, so we'll go back to where we started, I get a call from Marilyn Love, Jerry Jones's administrative assistant, and she said, Jerry thinks you guys deserve to finish out the season. So if you want to go to the game, we'll put you on the charter and put you at the hotel with the team. So
that's amazing. That's amazing.
And so I walk up to the front there, and Jimmy kind of motioned me up, and they're celebrating. They're all over, hugging, and I told them, I said, I said before the season started, I said the over/under for wins for the Cowboys this year was like 8.5. He goes, 8.5? He goes, man, for me, that would have been a paycheck bet. Because they ended up getting to 11, and that game gave them 10. And then I think they finished the season off beating, I want to say the Bears, and maybe in the last game or something like that.
Yeah, it was the Bears.
But anyway, it was a huge celebration on that flight back.
And who was the quarterback for the Cowboys that day?
Steve Berline.
That's right. Steve Berline was the quarterback.
That was the one Jimmy read him the riot act before the game. He basically said, under no circumstances do you take a sack and get that defense all riled up with that front and the crowd all riled up. He goes, I don't care if you go 3 for 15 in the first half. You throw the ball away. You do not take a sack. Well, he listened because I think he was like 4 for 12 or some ridiculous number like that until they got that punt return and then put the game away was the late third quarter, fourth quarter when that happened. But yeah, Berline listened to what he said because we're going to make sure we play defense and we don't give them anything, and that was the instructions.
Yep. And it just lets you know, guys, the same old tried and true. Offense, what sells tickets, and defense wins the games. It is so prevalent right now. The only teams in the NFC East that are playing defense are the ones that actually have a chance at this point to make it to the playoffs. Even as bad as the NFC East looks right now, you have two teams in the NFC East. When it's all said and done and everything balances out, those two teams have a chance to win because of how good their defense is. All you got to do is hold on. All you got to do is not make mistakes. Play good defense. Let your special teams work for you. And with the Cowboys, it's so funny because they started off with that mentality, and then as they started to win the Super Bowls, it all became about paying offensive players. They're the ones that they keep on the team. But guys like Ken Norton, he's gone. You know, your middle linebacker is gone, yet you still continue to win. But there's no emphasis put on defense for this entire organization. I think they need to kind of pivot a little bit. And of course, you still have the amazing offensive players, but I wish we would really concentrate more on creating a culture of defense around this organization.
You know, and the other part of that is that was a December game in frigid Philadelphia, okay? You take you back to Tuesday night in Baltimore. You talk about special teams, okay? And it's a different game in December when you're playing out in the elements, okay? It was a 39, 40-degree night in Baltimore the other night. On Sunday afternoon in Cincinnati, I think the high temperature, it's going to be 39, 40 degrees when they play in Cincinnati. you cannot kick the same length field goals when it's in the 30s as what it is in the 70s, okay? And so when you're kicking these 50-yard field goals, your chances of making them, I don't know what the analytics say on making 50-yard field goals when it's 38 degrees outside, but I guarantee you it's not as great as when you're kicking when it's 78 degrees.
That's
exactly.
Just
that's
ball
right.
Is heavier.
But they don't have to hook or fade.
Well, no, but as a kicker, that means he has to put more effort into.
Yeah, that's right. He's trying to compensate for the dead ball.
It's going to be a different dynamic. Yes, you're right, Spags. I'm not giving him a pass. I want him to make those field goals, but there is a dynamic to kicking a heavier ball and how it's going to go through the air. And it wasn't just cold that night, Bill. It was windy as well. So you could see it. You could see it just playing with the ball, no matter where you kick it.
I mean, Justin Tucker early in that game has his 70 field goal field goal streak snapped, because inside 40 yards, and so that was an indicator that maybe it's not a good night for field goal kickers.
That's why you need to have a team that is built for the playoffs, and that starts with defense and special teams.
All right.
Period.
It was
that
9 miles an hour.
Ever changed.
9 miles
in
an
Baltimore?
hour. I'll give you the
What was it in Philadelphia?
Oh, that day, I don't know what it was, but it was 9 miles an hour in Baltimore.
Yeah.
I'll give you the
wind. When he kicked the ball, that could have been a burst. That could have been a burst when he kicked.
Mickey, when's the last time you were on that Inner Harbor in Baltimore? That wind will kick up.
Oh, no, I know it will. The wind chill was 32 miles an hour.
The wind chill was 32 miles an hour. On that note, I think that'll do it.
Chris is giving us the...
It's a good thing you had that recording. We at least mentioned Cincinnati for 45 minutes.
Yeah, well, tomorrow we are definitely on to Cincinnati, okay? We're on to Cincinnati tomorrow on Mick Shots, so we will see you again on Friday.
Go Cowboys!
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!